The Z to Z Podcast.
Good morning, good evening, or good day, and welcome to the ReviewZed Podcast, the game review of the Z to Z Podcast. If the game has achievements, then we try to cover it here. I'm your host, Damien, and thank you for listening. If you've listened to the Z to Z Podcast in the past, then you're familiar with our format. We bring you a separate weekly show covering just reviews of new and sometimes overlooked Xbox titles. And don't forget to check out the regular Z to Z Podcast while you're at it. That show's good too, just like this one, but we have more vitamin D. All right, so welcome back to another of your weekly installments of ReviewZed. I'm your host, Spazpol or Damien or whatever you want to call me. Got my co-host
Late for dinner.
Ford. What?
How we doing? I'm calling you late for dinner.
Oh, you're calling me late for dinner?
You said
Actually,
whatever.
I was late for dinner today. I got stuck on another call, and it was in tinfoil when I got up there. And that everybody is my lovely co-host Warren, Planting 42.
How we doing?
For all of us, in video land, we're live streaming this today. No, we're not.
What? Crap! My camera broke. Who are you streaming?
I don't know. Not us. On this wonderful Wednesday morning. And speaking of Wednesdays mornings, hey, is that Gtask thing still going on?
Yes, believe it or not, we have more than a couple weeks still ahead of us. We're down to the 40 some odd teams at this point. No, 30 some odd teams at this point. My bad. But yeah, we are still cranking along.
It's funny to think it's like 30 teams, but you still got September, October, November, 4 months, guys, for this marathon
exactly.
Year over.
You still have a little ways to go.
Yeah, a lot of ways to go. But either way, we divert. So what do our
unfortunately?
Go ahead.
I was gonna say, unfortunately for us, we're not in it anymore.
We haven't been in it for a while. Hey, but speaking of those, for those lucky souls that are still fighting it out, what do they have to look forward to this week, Warren?
Well, it's a team bonus because it's their turn now. The bonus they get is show me that killer instinct. They have to end the scoring period with the team having unlocked at least 200 achievements.
I thought they had to finish Killer Instinct.
That would be incredibly mean. No, it's more reference to how many achievements are in the game.
It's equally
full of achievements.
Painful,
but... there you go. Never mind. It's just a team that has to get the 200, not like each individual teammate needs it. So that's
it
really
should be
mean.
nice.
Not just the team itself.
Each, but yeah, you guys, if you still want to carry somebody's dead weight around, go ahead. 200.
You still got a few weeks to carry that weight.
Brutal. Either way. So, well, for all of those that just listened to the Gtask bonus and cut and run, see ya.
Ouch. No, you guys better be sticking around because this one's a caper.
And, it's a great way, though. Speaking of dead weight, what do we do with that dead weight? Well, we get to bury it. This week with Graveyard Keeper. Actually, how long? Wait, when did we do our... if you go back into the annals of Z to Z history, you might remember 3 Dudes, 1 Bed. Was that the episode title? It's 3 Dudes.
I think it was, yeah. Something similar.
Well, I think we ended our talk of packs with this game, or it was midway in, but we did mention it. But Graveyard Keeper that we saw at the Tiny Build booth. Well, they have officially released it. Probably I would like to say beta, but I guess it's not beta. I guess it's the full version. But Graveyard Keeper, published by Tiny Build Games, developed by Lazy Bear Games. This was actually released August 15th, 2018. Well, released August 15th for Xbox One. They've had alpha out for a little bit for Steam. And for Windows, Xbox One, it is a management game. Yeah, I would definitely say management. And what's the price on it? $19.99, but it is a Game Pass. It is Game Pass, right?
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
It was actually kind of a surprise that it released into Game Pass.
Yeah, I saw a few people that I was surprised, like going, they bought this? I think one of our listeners, do a little shout out, Kush. Wait, does Kush still listen to us?
Kush better listen to us.
He's on my friends list, but I saw he started playing this game too. So, there's a few people out there playing it. But yeah, then I figured, oh, they all spend $20. And I'm like, nope, it was Game Pass. So, but
Yeah, looking at the number of tracked gamers on TA, True Achievements, I would say that there's a very good chance most of those are Game Pass adoptees and not $20 purchasers.
yeah. So Graveyard Keeper, so a lot of it, at least from a layout perspective, like the looks didn't change too much from the build that we played at PAX. Still an 16-bit. I give it a 16-bit management style game. What's the one people throw around a lot? Stardew Valley?
Stardew Valley. It looks visually similar, although this is probably more of a professional. I don't know how I want to call it professional. I mean, like Stardew Valley is kind of a really happy Nintendo-y kind of feel. This is like more normally looking object.
All right. So, well, have you ever played? So, talk Stardew Valley, but the one I was thinking of, Harvest Moon. But I never played Harvest Moon. I've just seen a lot of Harvest Moon. So,
Unfortunately, not a game I've played.
Okay. Oh, but I think that's the other one I've heard people throw out there as comparison. But either way, I digress. Yeah, I mean, it definitely looks clean, at least in what was developed. But I guess we'll get a little bit into the plot. But when we talk about into gameplay, I think that's where we start seeing some of it kind of coming off the rails, so to speak.
No, I would totally agree. As far as like the completion, we don't really know how long it's going to take to finish because no one's actually finished it yet. There's actually quite a few achievements no one has yet popped. This may or may not be due to some of the bugs we'll mention later, but suffice to say, this is going to take at least 100 hours once everything gets going.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm thinking, I got to have sunk at least 12 to 13 hours into this already. But now where I'm getting into, though, there's a few people. Like, I'm looking at some of the achievements, and I'm like going, I don't even know where Wagner is. I've never met this person. But some of the other ones, I'm thinking, it might be a 40-hour. You might be able to bang it out for it. It starts, I will say, once you get into the dungeon, it starts going faster. So with that, let's talk a little bit about the plot. Because when we first saw it, all we knew is, hey, we were keeping a graveyard, but we really didn't understand why we were doing it. And now we know.
Well, we're going to give away the first couple seconds of the game because they're the first couple seconds of the game. You start out by taking a phone call from your wife in the middle of a road because that's the best place in the world to take a phone call from your wife.
I do it all the time. Wait,
predictably,
wife or girlfriend?
This dude gets hit by traffic, which is maybe a lesson learned. Don't take a phone call in the middle of the road unless you want to become a graveyard keeper. But yeah, this dude wakes up in like this weird dark area talking to somebody, and I don't know, they kind of, he's like, what am I doing here? Can I go home? And the guy's like, no, you can't go home yet. This is your home. You're a graveyard keeper now. But the guy is like, you're really insisting, like, I want to get home to my wife. And you're like, well, if you do a really good job at being a graveyard keeper, you can go home. And apparently that is the actual end result that you want from this game. You need to do very, very good at your job and apparently go back to your home, and hopefully someone else dies and becomes you. But in the meantime, you have to do all of the game. So you're told to dig up a floating skull to talk to, and things just get completely weird and bizarre from there.
Yeah, pretty much that. That's some setup. Yeah, you dig up a skull that will now talk to you, and you start your quest. And I put in bracket with an S, quests, because that's what this game is. It's a series of quests and NPCs that you meet that will give you more quests to do, and it's a 6-day work week. There's no 7 days, and people appear on particular days. There is a clock cycle, however, there's no, and this is what I don't know about you when playing this, but I have this problem that I feel like compelled to try to get as many things done as I can before a day starts, but then there's really no penalty if you miss it on the day, and it just goes through to the following week, right? Like, hey, I need to go to the merchant. I need to do it on whatever, the sign that looks like a dude. the dude gender sign or the female gender. They look like the upside down. But yeah, but if you
Yeah.
miss the day or they leave by the time you whatever, you just wait till the next week to get there. It's just, oh man, now I got to go work through 60. I think that's my problem. Like because you don't have a lot of time during the day, the days go by fast.
Yeah, and that's probably probably my biggest concern with the game is the fact of how short the time is per day, or perhaps maybe the imbalance between how much energy these tasks take. If you think about what you can accomplish in a given day, we're talking maybe chop a little bit of firewood and make a couple nails, and then you're out of energy, need to go back to sleep, and you're probably almost done with an entire day. That's just not realistic for what you can really accomplish in the course of a day. So it feels like maybe you could have done a little more balancing work there. But
Yeah, the other problem is like food. So you can start crafting food, and there's achievements for doing all these types of things. So you grow your garden, get food, craft food, and you can eat food to replenish your energy. But like for example, a small flower, which will take one energy to pick, will restore one energy, maybe two. So it takes a lot, and then, like, when you're cooking some of the more advanced recipes, you have to have, like, for example, you had to have meat, and you had to have sliced meat, and then you had to cook bread, which means you had to do the flour thing to make the bread, you do the meat, then you gotta grow cabbage, then you gotta take those together, craft them into the sandwich, and now the sandwich will give you 15 energy back, which is great, but I feel like I took more than 15 energy and even more time just to make that sandwich to get 50, so it's like as much as there's like, oh yeah, just stockpile a lot of food and just keep replenishing your health. I'm partially going, yeah, but it takes so much to even get this stuff done. Is it really a good return on my thing investment?
and I'm with you there. Outside of doing it for the initial achievement, like the doing it once, I don't bother. I just go back and sleep.
Now, I will say, I don't know how far you are if you've gotten Snake unlocked, which you'll know if you play the
Yes.
game, you'll know what we're talking about. But once you start going into the dungeon, you need to do the dungeon in a run. So that's where food for me is now making a little more sense because you don't want to leave the dungeon to go back to sleep.
Truth be told, I am actually waiting for my next night of Snake to show up to give him what he needs. Not to give away the
Yeah, no, I'll tell you. Once you start doing that, I think this game it takes a
speeds up a little
yeah,
bit.
but the thing is, it took me like 12 hours to get there.
Oh, easily, and it is such a tedious grind getting there's three currencies basically in the game outside of like what you spend in town for as far as your technologies you have to unlock. This is kind of getting into the gameplay now, I guess. And it's basically a sim management game like you normally have. You have a pool of energy, like we were saying, and you deplete as you do things. Doing tasks each has a certain cost for all those. But then there's these technologies that you unlock on a tree to help you get progressed further into the game. And as you unlock these technologies, you have greater and greater access to, better tools, or you can improve your church in different ways. You can have. But yeah. Anyways, sorry, I'm losing my train of thought. But basically, the idea is you have these three currencies: a red, a green, and a blue that you have to spend to unlock things on this technology tree. The red and green are very easy to come by as you get them for doing almost everything. The blue is very hard to come by, and you'll be cursing constantly trying to figure out how to get them more in early on in the game. Once you finally start getting that rolling, that's, in my opinion, when the game starts to actually pick up. And unfortunately, yeah, that is like a good 10 to 12 hours in, even if you've kind of taken some peeks at guides to figure out what might be the easier paths to get stuff going.
No, and I mean, the thing is, at least, I've been, same with you, right? Like, you're sucked in for 10 to 12 hours and you're still finding more to do. So, in terms of even for a $20 just to pick it up game, I find myself keep coming back. And that's what I don't know if it's a management game type scenario or it's something about this game. But I keep wanting to go back, and it's like you get those old things of like, okay, I just got to do this few more things, or hey, you know what? did a little bit of research and, oh, you know what? I think you can actually find iron ore, like if you know where you find those stone things on the sides of the wall where they suddenly have an endless supply. You're like, wait,
Mhm.
that's what I need to do. Okay, I'm going to go find that real fast. And, quite honestly, right now, I'd rather be playing Graveyard Keeper than talking about it right now. That's how much this game has kind of got me hooked now of going like, when we're done this, I'm going back to playing more.
Exactly. No, I feel that too. Um,
Yes.
I guess to take a look at the achievements really quick, there's 62 achievements. This is not a small achievement game, and they're spread out very, very, I would say, end game. There's a couple quick ones for meeting like the basic players and for doing like the first couple introductory tasks with dealing with bodies and stuff, but then they become very difficult or very, very stacked toward the end of like doing things over and over, catching different kinds of fish, making different recipes, uh, crafting health potions, just all sorts of stuff that's just going to take you many, many hours of gameplay to get into. So it's definitely a game that will suck you in quickly and then keep you rolling in content for some time, I would think.
Yeah. I think the thing, though, that in addition to it, the things that are kind of annoying, and this is what we were talking about in the gameplay, is things get glitchy. I don't know. You're playing it on the 1X. I'm playing on the regular 1S, but there's some lag, and I don't know if you started getting the lag, but you'll move and start doing stuff, and it just kind of does little catch up things. And it seems like this is
Yep.
plagued on everybody. This isn't like limited to
No,
just
I noticed it on the X as well.
okay. And then I guess were those your screenshots of like some areas that you could get to where dialogue just
Yep,
gibberish?
those are my screenies.
Yeah, was that in the
There
swamp?
is there is it's there's a witch that you can meet in a swamp that's well off to the left after you fix the bridge that's to the left of your church. It's kind of a weird spiral pattern to get into where the witch lives, and for some reason there's just a missing dialogue. Like you start talking to her and then just comes up like her name intro text 3 or something. I'm like, wait, what? I took a picture of like I'm it feels as though there's this really beautiful world with so much to do, but there's just like some bits that just weren't finished. I don't know what happened, like how they could have dropped the ball on these little bits of like
Well,
introductory
I think what
dialogue.
might have happened, and just my opinion, is for how much you're playing this game or how much we've gone into doing it. Um, I bet they forgot about certain things they started doing. Hey, it's Lazy Bear Games. Maybe that has something to do. Like, oh yeah,
That's
we
true. They
forgot
do
to
have
finish the dialogue with that witch. What was the point of that witch? I don't know. It's kind of like a good long story that has a here. Let me tell you a side story, and then just stop talking about it, and then you're like, wait a sec, what happened?
it's content. It's content for the game. A couple other random issues. Text windows have an issue of overlapping sometimes, especially when you're talking to your buddy Jerry. Um, your text dialogues will overlap with his text dialogues, so you really can't see what's being said properly, or you can't understand like which menu option you're selecting because everything's all jumbled together. So you kind of have to back away and start the conversation again. It's a little disconcerting. Apparently there's a game save bug at day 255. It's been well documented on True Achievements. Apparently there's a memory overflow. So something happens with day 244 to 245. It just breaks and you are no longer allowed to sleep, which unfortunately is also how the game saves, which is a little game breaking. Apparently there's a workaround, I should say, that people have figured in the forums, which quick method is start a new game, save and quit it back to the menu, and then your original game will function again. Don't know for how long, but apparently people have been reporting that's working. The developers are also apparently aware of some of these issues and are reportedly working on a fix. So that'll be
Yeah.
awesome too if that gets addressed.
So, I mean, in short, I think this game, especially from what we saw at PAX to what's actually been delivered, and for how much time we've put into it. Especially if you're Game Pass, if you have Game Pass, you have no reason not to play this thing. I mean, other than if you're just like, no, I don't want to play any long, drawn out games. I want everything to be short and boring. Then don't play this game. But if you if you have access to it through Game Pass, it's definitely worth you. I will say you will probably get hooked I think, how often do we agree on stuff where we both sunk this much hours into it?
Oh, exactly. No, this is amazing, and I can totally see some people being turned off from a $20 price tag on a game. But you have to think about it. We're used to seeing ID games that are like I don't know, a 5 or 6 hour completion. This is not something that you can bust through in the span of like just a couple hours. This is a game that's going to take you some serious effort. It's definitely worth a $20 investment because you'll be putting like probably upwards of at least 50, 60, 100 hours, whatever it ends up being. But you're definitely going to get your money's worth out of this for
Agreed.
sure.
So I think this is definitely. I think this one is to go throwback to the old shovelware cemetery. This one is whatever we used to say if we gave it a pass. But I think this one's recommended from both of us to definitely be checking out.
Oh yeah, this graveyard has been redeemed.
Oh yeah. All right. Well, until Mango and Prue show up till next week, this is Spaz. Boom.
And planning.
All right. Have a good night, guys, or day. Or
Peace.
Whatever.